Hello comrades, the Honey Badger here with another guide. On this one we're going to focus fully on coal. Coal is slightly special as the map for it is all over the place and you might end up in a false belief. Moreover, it's hard to get it started as if you're not building it at max capacity from the start, you will regret it later down the line. Let's see the topics before going further. What is coal and how is it useful? How to build the coal industry? What to expect if I decide to build the coal industry and export it? Before going on the first topic, remember to hit that subscribe button, and whilst you are there, might as well hit the like button too and leave a comment down below of what you think about it. Let's get started with our first topic. Coal is useful for many things. In small quantities, you are going to use it for generating heat and electricity and making cement and bricks. Also, you're gonna use it mostly for your famous steel. Early game, you will use coal solely from the customs house. Mid to late game, when you are in need to focus on manufacturing steel, it's best to have a coal location and an iron location already in place and have them running at maximum capacity. Let's see how to build it from scratch. First thing is first. If you are playing with the research turned on, make sure to research the establishment of geology faculty and also the geological mapping. This will allow you to spot the coal on the map easily by pressing these buttons over here. Secondly, make sure you are also researching waste processing and disposal, waste separation, and waste separation education before even thinking about starting the coal mining. Or else, instead of swimming in a lot of cash, you're gonna swim in a lot of garbage that you cannot transport efficiently. Thirdly, I want to empathize what is being said on the coal mine tooltip. It needs 220 workers and each worker produces 4.2 tons of coal per day. This means that having a full capacity coal mine will output you 924 coal ore per day. Theoretically, this means you can supply 4 coal processing plants at once, but sadly that's a lie. The coal mine has only one single output. That means that the maximum amount of coal ore you're going to be transporting is actually equal to the maximum amount of tonnage carried by the aggregates belt, and that's 600 tons per day. This also means that you don't need a 100% quality area to achieve maximum efficiency, but instead only a 65% quality area suffices. However, if you find a higher quality area, by all means go for it. This is because higher quality in this instance means less workers to get it. Now let's start finding the coal on our map. I'm seeing over here that I have some coal, and what I'd like to also check is to make sure for iron. I'll make a separate guide on iron, but it's important to be close-ish to the coal ore. This is because later down the line, when we're building the steel mill, we want it to be somewhere in the middle to avoid having way too many trains transporting coal and iron back and forth. So as we can see, there's iron over here and coal over here. This is a perfect spot to start our adventure. So first thing is first, we're gonna take the coal mine. We can also hide the mini-map now. We're gonna take the coal mine and plant it down, facing the output towards good land, wherever we can build a lot. As you can see, we have a lot of range over here, but we don't here at the water. And now let's search for a good spot to put it. It seems like 67 is the best. So let's place it down. Perfect. While that is building, I want to emphasize that you need on both sides a lot of space, because later down the line you're going to see what we're going to build more. Now the next thing is to abuse the fact that there's a conveyor overpass that splits into 3. We're going to use this and place it somewhere around here. Make sure that you see the green connection. If you don't see it, you're gonna have problems, because later down the line, once the conveyor overpass is built, or even worse, once the factories are built, you might not be able to connect to the conveyor overpasses. Let's place down one. And now, just for the example's sake, to see what I mean when I said you're not going to build the conveyor overpasses, there is a bug where it's clearly being shown that the conveyor can be built over here. But once I place it down, the conveyor is not built, and even if I try to connect it, it will not work. So be extremely careful whenever you're building this. It's a bug in the game. Hopefully it might be fixed in the future. So the way to do it is, usually I prefer to split my coal industries into multiple directions, and making sure that the output is facing as close as possible to the middle. For example, placing the coal factory like this is not a good idea, because the output of it is very far from the middle. This will not allow me to connect later down the line. So make sure that you're building it in a way where the output is quite close to the middle. This would be good at the moment. Let's build it and make sure that it's building the conveyor too. No, it's not. No worries, we can delete it and retry again. Perfect. Now the conveyor is built. Good. Let's put the second one. This one doesn't matter if it's the conveyor, output conveyor on left or right, because it will always be closer. And let's see if we can place it down with just a very small gap, so we can place later down the line the gravel footpath. If it's working, good. If it's not working, that's okay. We can solve it with no issues in the future. As long as we can place a gravel path, this is solely perfect. Good. And as for our last plant, make sure that the output is facing the center as much as possible, and play around until you manage to get it to connect. Great, we have the 3 factories in. Let's start placing a conveyor overpass, but this time a merging conveyor overpass. Good. As you can see at the moment, it's working perfectly fine. All 3 coal processing plants will be able to connect to this conveyor overpass, and we can confirm it. Another thing, let's fully confirm that everything is okay around here. All of the connections are made. Perfect. Now we can start doing the roads. Now, if you noticed, I managed to connect all of the roads in a circle. This is important because later down the line, you're going to need to make sure that all the garbage trucks can access the location. Now, the next thing that you would like to place are the footpaths, just to get a rough idea how it will look like. And this will allow you to also manage the waste disposal. Make sure you're using the big one. And let's see if I am able to place it somewhere where it would also connect to the other facility. It sadly doesn't look like it's being able to connect, but let's see if we place another. Perfect. Because I've placed this footpath here, it managed to connect to all three. And the last garbage container, we can place it somewhere around here. And this should assure that this station is also taken care of. The next thing I'd like to do is to create a big transfer station. This one, I'll place it close enough to the factory where it doesn't connect to it yet. The reason is that I'd like to manually create the factory connection and make sure that it's one way. The next thing that I'd like to do is to create an incinerator for the waste disposal. If you don't create an incinerator, you're going to end up with a lot of garbage. The coal industry, solely the coal mine alone, produces 16 tons per day. The processing plants produce 5 tons per day. That means around 35 tons of garbage per day, and a single claw machine will never be able to handle 35 tons per day. Therefore, we're gonna get an incinerator, a small one. This is because the maximum production for it's 30 tons per day. I know I've said 35 tons, however, because we have researched waste separation education, people will split the construction waste that is outputted during the coal mining process and the other waste separately. So the construction waste is somewhere between 20 to 30% of our garbage income. By making the incinerator over here, we're gonna burn the remaining 80% of garbage and just be left with a little bit of ash. And we must be able to cover both of the things, both the coal mine and the transfer station. Let's make sure we can connect it. Yes, we can with no problems. Another important thing is that the incinerator will output mixed waste after burning the mixed waste. So dual connections is not okay over here. Let's change it to a single way connection. Basically, I want all the garbage to be coming from the coal mine and the transfer station, moved into the incinerator and then processed over here. The incinerator will output ash. For that, we're gonna have a claw dump, and it's not necessary to have a claw dump for this, but it's a welcomed addition, because the amount of ash you're going to produce is just outside the area of disposal. So you either can transport the ash to the customs house via trucks or via rail. Usually I prefer rail because I'm a train maniac, and also it's cheaper based on fuel costs. And now let's make sure that this factory connection is also one way. Now that you have everything set up over here at the garbage disposal, one more thing is mandatory for you. Make sure to check only mixed waste at the dump here. If you're not going to check it, accidentally construction waste will also get into your dump and block your incinerator completely. Now let's connect the buildings. And the next thing we're gonna handle is the location for our passengers. Again, passengers, it's not a good idea to transport them via truck because the incinerator needs 1.5 kilometers of clear area in order not to pollute your city. Basically, your city will always need to be 1.5 kilometers away from your coal, iron industries. So that is why over here we are going to go with a passenger rail station. And we can place it wherever we like, it doesn't quite matter, as long as it reaches all of the destinations. As you can see, here should be fine and it will reach almost all. Here's a good scenario. As you can see, the passenger station cannot reach the incinerator at the moment. Even if we want to place it over here, this is no problem for underground pedestrian walkways. So we can connect a pedestrian walkway over here. If it will allow me to connect it here. If not, that is perfectly fine, we can do this. And now another pedestrian walkway over here should be theoretically fine. Now if we go underground, we can connect the two locations. If we check again the walkable range, the incinerator can be reached by the passengers and all of the necessary locations are within reach. Good, just to make our life, our citizens' life easier, we can also make sure that they do a speed run towards the coal mine. One more important thing, I'm going to add the coal mine as the main building to go for. It doesn't matter the amount we're gonna set here because once the coal mine is full of people, they will start splitting towards the coal processing plants and the incinerator. Another one, apart from the coal mine, I'd also like to add the incinerator small, because if we're gonna remain with garbage, the area over here will have a very bad time. One thing we're gonna also do is to split the construction waste here. 5 should be enough on this side, or 6 just to beautify it. We're gonna copy this to the other building, and in here also we're gonna only store mixed waste and construction. Again, for construction 5 should be perfectly fine. Theoretically, you're not going to ever fill it with the setup we're gonna do. Good, so we managed waste. Now let's manage storage on this side. Let's create the biggest storage that we have access to and place it somewhere in the middle here. Be very careful, the road connection needs to point outside the middle, not inside. This is very important later down the line. We're gonna see why soon. And let's place it down. Have it connected. And the transfer station will produce construction waste in here. We need to transfer this construction waste to our trains so it can be sold at the customs house or processed into gravel. Let's grab another small storage this time and place it over here. Make sure it's not connecting to the coal storage. We only want it here for it to be connected to the railroad station. Good. Now let's connect it to the road. And we have these two. Let's make sure that this one stores coal and this one stores construction waste. I highly advise to go with the biggest cargo station you can for aggregates. This is because later down the line you're going to have a lot of trains playing around and you want to make sure that they're always full to the brim. So let's go with the 6th one, and as you can see it wants to have the road inside or outside. If you want to have the road outside, firstly build the road. Now it's safe to directly connect the station. Here we go. This should be fine. And if the connection disappears for whatever reason, just drop it by yourself. And one final thing, we can connect this to the road here. We are going to need a technical services office. The 8th one seems like the best one over here, just so it gives you some breathing space. Because during winter time, you need to make sure that this road is cleaned up, and you would need somewhere around a maximum of 4 vehicles to handle everything. So let's buy 4 vehicles, and 2 snowplows should be perfectly fine. How you will give fuel to this location, it's up to you. Also, I recommend having a gas station nearby. The reasoning for the gas station is that we are going to have a manual line from the big transfer station over here, picking up the construction waste and delivering it to the small aggregate storage here. So apart from this, we're just going to have a free depot just to buy our waste truck here, and let's set it from here to here. Good. The other things are just drinking water, power supply, sewage, etc., which you already know how to handle it by yourself. And this is basically the way to construct it. Now let's move on what to expect if you decide to build the coal industry. You're going to need a total of 825 workers to manage the entire production. Moreover, you're going to need some dumpers and a technical office to be able to handle all the back and forth waste disposal. Coal, being an aggregate resource, will take a very long time to export at the customs house, and it will block it. If you got an isolated customs, like I do over here, then in this case it's perfectly fine to be used. I'm using 5 separate trains, each carrying 400 tons with 118 meters length, and it's sufficient to have some free spots at the customs house and one maximum 2 trains delivering the coal every single time. Moreover, in regards to pollution, as I mentioned, the pollution is quite big. Namely, you're going to need a minimum of 1.5 kilometers between your coal production and your city. If you're going to get a bus station to do your bidding here, I wouldn't recommend it, as you're going to go through 800 plus people per day. Best if you are using passenger trains, just like I do over here. And even with them, it's not 100% capacity 24/7 over here. Maybe I'd need to bump the frequency a bit more. Also, there are some special trains apart from the passenger trains. We have the garbage train, which only covers the ash transporting to the border, and this one only has a measly free cargo. I could have gone with 4 or 5 with no issues over here, but the frequency is already so low that it doesn't matter that much. And another train over here to be able to handle the gravel. Let's hunt him down. Where is he at the moment? Here he is. Another free length train that only goes for gravel. Moreover, don't think that you're going to manage everything with just a single coal hotspot. You will need multiple coal hotspots because each single steel mill that you will have will consume 375 coal. The hotspot that we've built over here handles a total of 360 tons coal. That means you're 15 tons away from the actual full capacity steel. Also, in terms of profits, coal as an industry is quite profitable, 5 times more profitable than gravel. Each month you're looking at 100K plus profits from coal alone. And that's all about coal. Subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for the next guides where we dive into more industries, and some of them will use coal. And why not like the video and leave a comment down below how you're using coal in your own republic. Well, until next time, I'm the Honey Badger and I'm out.